and welcome to our Alumni Weekend event presented by US Steel and UPMC. I'm Missy Matthews. This year we're celebrating 20 seasons at Heinz Field. Now, under normal circumstances, past Steelers greats would be gathering here at Heinz in a celebration dinner to benefit the UPMC Sports Medicine Concussion Program. While they couldn't reunite in the West Club this year due to COVID-19 restrictions, we figured we'd bring our alumni together virtually. In 2001, when the Steelers moved into their new home at 100 Art Rooney Ave, they brought with them a history rich in tradition and steeped in success. Tonight, we will bring you some of our favorite moments of the past 20 seasons and the stories behind some of the most memorable games in Heinz Field history told by the players themselves. You'll even have an opportunity to own a piece of those memories with our online auction, and you can be the new owner of a game-worn Ben Roethlisberger jersey just by clicking on the Bid Now link at Steelers.com. Tonight's event isn't just about celebrating our alumni players. We also want to hear from you, Steelers Nation. So help us celebrate by sharing your favorite memories using hashtag HeinzFieldMoments. Before we get to our first memory, let's take a look back at some of your favorite moments here at Heinz Field.
Blue Browns, when they entered the league in 1999, between their re-entrance back into the league and this wild card game in 2002, the Browns had only won one game against the Steelers, that by 3 points. So it was then what it kind of is now, very one-sided. 2001, Cordell Stewart had been the Steelers team MVP. 2002 did not start off well for him, and so Bill Cowher made a change at halftime of the regular season game against the Browns and brought in Tommy Maddox. The Tommy gun offense, as it came to be known, was nothing like traditional Steelers offense that what we had seen to that point under the Bill Cowher era. Throw the ball all around the place. Jerome Bettis got benched. Amos Zaraway was put in his place in the backfield.
We go all of us together, man. One word. It's called team. On 3, team. 1, 2, 3.
It was a spectacular day for the fans. You know, there's a few things that fans really get into in terms of the way a game unfolds. If your favorite team, the team you're rooting for, is either the underdog and they win the game, or if your team is behind by a lot and they stage a dramatic comeback and win the game.
Down the sideline, touchdown! Dennis Northcutt. Holcomb going for the corner of the end zone, has a man, touchdown! Dennis Northcutt. This is all day, baby, all day!
The Steelers were losing 14-0, 24-7, and also 33-21 in the fourth quarter. So the comeback was almost Hollywood-esque. Whenever the Browns needed to make a mistake, they made a mistake.
Quick pass on the slant, intercepted. Picked off by number 31, Mike Logan.
Whatever the Steelers needed to do, they got it done.
It is caught. Is it a touchdown? It is. Play fake to Bettis. Back in the end zone. Tip touchdown. Jeremy Tooman. The crowd on their feet and alive. Maddox throws. Goal line. Touchdown.
A drop pass by Dennis Northcutt in the fourth quarter really was a critical turning point in that it forced the Browns to punt at a time where it didn't seem like the Steelers' defense was going to be able to stop the Browns' offense, led by the inimitable Kelly Holcomb. Personally, sitting in the press box watching this, I didn't believe that there was any way that they could come back to win. You know, you need some help from the opponent to come back from the kind of deficits from which the Steelers came back in that game, and the Browns provided that.
left. You have plenty of time. You've got a 2nd down and 3 situation from the 3.
Got 3 shots at it, huh?
2nd and goal at the 3. Steelers down by 5. They go with a draw handoff. And Foose into the end zone for the Pittsburgh Steelers touchdown. Chris Ma'afala gets the go-ahead touchdown for the Pittsburgh Steelers. How about them apples?
The touchdown, it was kind of a draw play to Chris Ma'afala, who was put in those games as a blocking back, really. They gave him the ball, and he just powered into the end zone, and it was as loud when he crossed the goal line and got into the end zone as I have heard it at Heinz Field.
Randall L. throws it back in the end zone. 2-pointer good. Jeremy Tooman. And the Steelers with a 2-pointer.
That's how you come back, baby.
The Steelers came back from a big deficit. Their fans loved it.
You talk about resiliency. There's no better definition than what you guys just showed out there today.
All right, Joey Porter and Jerome Bettis, before we talk about that wild card game against the Browns, you guys had the opportunity to play in Three Rivers Stadium, transition with the team to Heinz Field. What do you remember about that process and maybe even just your first steps inside that new stadium?
Well, for me, I remember having played in Three Rivers for so long and knew that it was pretty dated from a stadium perspective, having gone into some of the newer stadiums in the NFL, but it was home for us. It felt like home field advantage. We had the crowd, the sound, the noise, and it was rocking. So when we went into the new place, although it felt like the Taj Mahal because it was incredible. It was first class. We saw everything was great. We were worried about, is it going to sound as loud? Is the fans going to be as into it? Is it going to become more of a social place because now you've got to pay for these licenses? Are the true fans going to be locked out of the experience? And so that was some of the things that we were worried about as players because we want to make sure it's as loud as possible because when Three Rivers was loud, it felt like you could not hear a thing. And so we knew that we had a true home field advantage. We were just a little bit worried about going into Heinz and making sure that it had that same energy and electricity.
See, for me, I didn't spend as much as time as Three Rivers as Jerome did. So for me, I remember can't wait because the turf. We practiced on this turf, then played on it.
That's right,
and
every day.
I was not a fan of the concrete under that turf, so I couldn't wait to get out of there. And another little thing that was funny, I was like, man, why we call it Heinz Field? Because Heinz think it's his stadium. He was like, yeah, we wanted my stadium because his last name Heinz Ward. I'm like, so man, how did we name it Heinz Field? Because he was just always telling us this his stadium, this his field.
Yeah, so, he was owning it.
But I remember when we used to bus over there to the south side just for the little practices. So once we made it, Heinz Field is the new home. Oh man, they let the vets go over there first to pick out their lockers and stuff like that. and I this me. When you don't make that list to go pick out your stuff first, I'm like, now where I'm gonna be at, because the older guys, he took the older guys over there to the first locker room on the south side to pick out their lockers, then to the big locker room, where they're gonna pick out their spots. And me being not old enough, I was hating on all of that, but I was happy because we was going to a new stadium.
All right.
But the problem was Joey just wanted more. He wanted to be in the mix. He hated that there was a separation and he got separated out to the other side. Had he been separated to this side, he would have had no problem with it. The problem was he was not in the know. He was in the we'll get to you later class. He didn't like that.
I haven't paid my dues yet. And trust me, I love it how you do it because in the Steelers organization, You have to pay your dues before you just start getting all the gifts.
You earn your stripes.
You got to earn them. You got to earn them.
All right, guys, that wild card game against an AFC North team and the Cleveland Browns, what do you guys remember from that, and maybe just the atmosphere as well?
Well, for me, I remember, I think that was the game that we were down. Mm-hmm. We were down in that game, and so we just offensively couldn't seem to really get it going. The Browns were playing really good football, so you couldn't take it away from them. But, we were just kind of frustrated that we weren't able to really get it going offensively. And so it was a frustrating time for us because the last team you want to lose to is the Cleveland Browns, and especially in the playoffs. So it was it was frustrating. And as the game went further and further along, you become a little bit more nervous because we didn't want to be the team that lost to them in the playoffs.
Just to throw out some numbers, because it was 17-7 at halftime, Cleveland Browns. You guys had a big comeback in the second half, but both teams kept scoring, but the Steelers 22 fourth quarter points.
The back and forth, and I think it was Dennis Northcutt or somebody for them dropped a crucial catch.
Yes, he did on third down.
We turned him loose, and he was wide open, and he dropped it. And we needed all that
would have sealed the game. That would have sealed the game for them.
Yeah, because they were a good team. I remember Coach Butler and BA was on the other side, and when they came over to the good side, they would always tell us, "Man, we had you in 2002." I'm like, you never had us. We were playing bad, but you never had us.
Y'all found a way to lose. That's how y'all always do. Y'all find a way to lose.
All right, the final.
And we always found a way to win.
The final was 36-33. Something else important happened that day. The first time there was a double renegade. Do you guys remember that?
Now for me, offensively, I would have never remembered that because, the renegade is really it's for the defense. It was made for those guys, and we were always disappointed that we got nothing offensively to get us going. So we had to get ourselves self-motivated where that renegade song, when that went on, it just seemed like it was just a different stadium, a different football team. It was just it was incredible to watch.
I remember the double play because, it was one of those times like, oh, man, they gave it to us again. So I'm like, so we got to make the stop now. Like, they gave it to us again. And I don't think we made the stop.
All right. Well, guys,
we won, though. So
we won.
It ended up working, right?
But no, he dropped that ball during that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I got you.
That's
so what let them off. That's what let us off.
They had us. But we come out of there.
That's right. You're right.
All right. There was another important game that happened at Heinz Field in 2005, Week 14 to be exact. The Chicago Bears were in town. Bussy, I know you remember this one. Before I have you guys chat about it, let's take a look back at it now.
We understand the situation that we put ourselves in, and we're a desperate football team, and we're going to play like it. For the rest of the season, and hopefully that will give us that sense of urgency that we've been missing.
The state of the Steelers couldn't have been much worse. They were coming off a game in which they had lost to the Cincinnati Bengals at home, the third consecutive loss, and that put the Steelers 2 games behind the Bengals in the race for the division championship with only 4 games to play. Some people might remember that was the game that T.J. Houshmandzadeh decided to wipe his shoes off with the terrible towel. It seemed to be a symbolic changing of the guard. The Bengals on the way up and the Steelers on the way down and out. And the Bears came to town running an 8-game winning streak. They had dropped 3 of their first 4, but they had caught fire under rookie quarterback Kyle Orton. And it looked as if the Steelers were going to have to win their final 4 to make it to the playoffs, and it looked like that was going to be a tough task, starting with a red-hot Chicago team. This was a game that was won on Wednesday as much as Sunday, and I say that because the Steelers did something way out of character at that time of a season. Faced with that 3-game losing streak and faced with a 4-game closing stretch that they knew they pretty much had to sweep,
They put the shoulder pads on, and they put them to good use in practice. Normally, by that late juncture of a season, the practicing in pads and the hitting is pretty much over with. But Bill Cowher sensed that his team needed to kind of contact itself back into form, and the players ended up being all for it. They had a real physical practice on Wednesday, and they also decided going into that game that it was going to be a game in which Jerome Bettis was featured, that one way or another, Jerome Bettis was going to play a critical role, and the Steelers were going to ride or die with the bus.
Talk about the playoffs, is win or go home. Today, win or go home. And we ain't going home. We at home.
And it's interesting the way it played out, because in the first half, the Steelers were ahead 14-3.
Heinz Ward, he gets the first down and more. Inside the 5, he's into the end zone for the touchdown.
And they give it to the bus. Touchdown Steelers. This is a totally different team than the club that lost the previous 3.
Jerome Bettis had 1 carry for 1 yard. Didn't seem like it was going to be a Jerome Bettis deliver us from the losing streak type of game. But if you recall the way they played back then, early in Ben Roethlisberger's career, a lot of times the format was throw to get ahead and then run to win in the second half. And Jerome Bettis ends up with a 101-yard effort on 17 carries. He was unstoppable.
It's going to be a long day for somebody. I ain't going to say who. Y'all figure it out.
Ride the bus.
Ride him.
We got the snow tires on. That's the bus.
Second and goal at the 5. The give to the right, and the bus waits. The bus drives, and the bus gets to the goal line. Touchdown, Pittsburgh! Jerome Bettis, and the Bears were trying to tackle him, but they just could not.
Well, and you see Urlacher came up there, and the bus ran over Urlacher. Then Todd Johnson came up there, and he ran over him.
For a franchise that has had so many iconic moments and memorable plays, that's a snapshot, whichever angle you take it from, of Bettis and Urlacher at the goal line. To me, at least, it stands up there with any of them.
If you would say, show me what the bus is all about, I'd play that play for you. That's what the bus is all about.
It was kind of the exclamation point on that game, and maybe a snapshot that the Steelers were in fact back. They found their game just in time, and they were ready to finish things off, make the playoffs, and then take their chances from there. I think the weather had a lot to do with why the Bettis-Urlacher moment was so iconic. It was Pittsburgh. It was December. The weather was crappy. It was snowing. The field was muddy. It was just that kind of romantic football type environment. I think it was a perfect storm of a desperate game that you had to have, a pretty good team that you had to beat, and the type of conditions that it's easy to look back on romantically and think, wow, wasn't that just something?
All right, guys, that game can be remembered for a lot of reasons. The snow globe atmosphere, what it eventually led to in terms of a winning streak and getting to Detroit. Jerome, Hall of Famer versus Hall of Famer. What do you remember about that moment?
I remember, really the lead up to that moment. Obviously we had a must-win situation. We had played so poorly during the course of the year. I believe we were like 5-7, and we had to win the rest of the game just to have a chance to get to the playoffs. And that was the first game on this stretch that we had to win. And they had a defense that was ranked number 1 in the NFL. So we knew we had a tough road to get down. And then in that game, it was snowing. And so I got 1 yard in the first half. I ended up with 100 yards in the second half. But it was the one play against Urlacher that really kind of gave a sense of where we were as a football team and who I was as a football player. The play where I was able to run Urlacher over, and he's never let me live that down. He's always been upset with me about the play, because after the game we switched shoes. So he says all the time that he has the shoes that went in his chest that ran him over.
It was fun for me because I really think it's a clip of Potsy that always said, Here comes the bus. Boom. But Posse on the sideline, I believe it was that game. Because, like, we knew what Jerome was in the cold. He's a mutter. We knew that. So it was a perfect situation for him. Like, that's – people got that perfect atmosphere for a game. You give me 30-degree weather, a little sloppy field. Nobody really wants to tackle anyway, and you give me the bus, I already know how this is about to end, right? That's what we had. They were ready until they wasn't ready. And
right. Everybody got a plan until they get hit in the mouth.
Man, I just knew that's his type of game. He can play in any weather, but like when you give it to that, when the whole stadium know that you have to run the ball and you can still run it, that's what we had. And it worked out perfect.
Jerome, you mentioned it being a must-win, and I heard the story of Coach Cowher, that Monday morning meeting prior to the game of just wiping off in the team meeting room the list of goals and just putting Chicago Bears up there. Did that do something for you guys heading into it, just that mentality that you really had to take it one game at a time?
Yeah, because, you know, usually he puts it down and the whole board is of the entire season. And you get an idea of the ebb and flow of the season, how well you're playing. And I think that was his purpose, to really show you, okay, this is where we are as a team, you know, during the course of the season. But at this point, it was all or nothing. And so when he erased everything, that kind of took us, you know, by shock a little bit, because that's how we did it every year. And so he was just explaining to us, guys, it's now or never. It's one game at a time. It's about Chicago, nobody else. It doesn't matter what else we do. This is the game. This is what has to happen. And it really changed our mentality, because then we became a playoff team in that moment. It wasn't about the playoffs 4 games later. We felt this was a playoff game. We were playing against Chicago. And at that point, we started our playoff push right there.
Yeah, it was exactly what he said. It's like, you know, when you come home and your parents then rearrange the furniture in the house. Now the couch is sitting over here and the new couch is sitting over here. It's the same furniture, but you're looking at it different. It can make the room look bigger or smaller. But when he took all that down, like you said, since I've been there, since my rookie year, it's been the same. Jerome's been there longer than me. I imagine it's been the same forever.
Yep.
And the way he did it, he put everybody on pins and needles, and we knew, like, man, well, playoff starts now, our playoffs, because if we lose, it's over. So it was no more like, oh, man, we got to beat Chicago, then we got so-and-so next week. He put us in tunnel vision. He put the blinders on us, and it was the best thing for us, because nothing really mattered but Chicago. I can't even tell you who we played after that. That's how we're talking about Chicago right now. That's how focused we was. It was like Chicago. And he put the blinders on us, and we was just focused one game at a time. And it worked out being perfect for us.
As we celebrate 20 years of Heinz Field, one of my favorite memories, 2006, fresh off of the Super Bowl 40 victory, Heinz Field was electric. Ben Roethlisberger didn't play because of the emergency appendectomy, so I'm starting this game. So as we're preparing in the middle of the fourth quarter to go out for a drive, offensive coordinator at the time, Ken Wisingham, he's asking me which play did I like. 126 Pack Star Sink. Play action fake to Willie Parker. I hit Heath Miller on an 87-yard touchdown pass, which stood as a Heinz Field record for 10 seasons.
On the run, here comes a big man, Heath Miller. He's on a gallop. He's to the goal line, and we've got a Steelers touchdown.
Man, those were great times. We ended up winning that ball game, and it was a great time.
Heinz Field, a place where I spent a decade of my life. A kicker's nightmare actually turned biggest dream come true in my life. From hitting game winners, to having Hall of Famers jump in my arms, to me being picked up like a little baby by my offensive linemen and my guys protecting me on field goals. It was the most memorable place I've ever played, but the biggest memory, the best thing, besides being on that field with my brothers and my teammates who I love, are the fans. It's gotta be the fans. Coming out of that tunnel, running out to a sea of black and gold, you just can't beat it. Congratulations, Heinz Field, on 20 years. Thank you, Pittsburgh, and go Steelers.
Hey, Steelers Nation, Tommy Maddox here. Hard to believe Heinz Field's 20 years old. Had some great memories there, but the two that stick out the most, obviously, is the Browns playoff game. What an unbelievable feeling that was.
What can you say? What a comeback!
Tommy Maddox jumping in celebration, pumping his fist to the fans.
But the most important thing about the stadium is the fans. The fans were always unbelievable. It was a great place to play. Even though we went on the road and felt like we played home games there, it was always great to come home. Always great to play in front of the Steeler fans, and that's the thing that I will remember the most about it.
Hey guys, I can't believe it's already been 20 seasons at Heinz Field, and I've been blessed to be a part of 17 of them. It's crazy to think that almost half of my life I have dedicated myself to Heinz Field, to the fans of Pittsburgh, to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I couldn't be more blessed to be a part of an organization, a fan base, and a brotherhood like the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's no way that I could come up with a game or two or a memory because I've had so many, been a part of so many, seen so many. But I think the two things that I would like to speak on that I'm the most proud of are the amazing teammates that I've gotten to play with. I've been blessed to play with Hall of Famers, guys that should be in the Hall of Fame that aren't in the Hall of Fame. So many of my teammates have made an impact on my life, and I just feel blessed to play the game of football, a game that I love, with so many great guys and brothers on both sides of the ball. It's not just about my linemen or receivers or tight ends or running backs, but some of my best friends in life, people that were in my wedding, were on the defensive line, and just a part of both sides of the ball. So my teammates, I just say thank you so much for the many great memories. And the second thing, I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers have the best fans in all of football. And so every time we get to run out of that tunnel at Heinz Field with those towels waving, there's nothing like it. We go out there to play for each other, we play for our teammates, but we play for you, the fans. For me, giving 17 years of my life so far to you fans, it has truly been an honor and a pleasure to be your quarterback for 17 of the 20 years at Heinz Field. I wouldn't change a minute of it for anything. I'm so thankful to all of you for supporting me, all of my teammates through the ups and the downs, the good, the bad, the Super Bowls, everything that we've been a part of. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart to all you fans for all your support, and thank you to my teammates. I love everybody. Thank you.
It was so great to catch up with Joey Porter and Jerome Bettis. And don't forget, you can click on the Bid Now link at Steelers.com to bid on auction items like an autographed Joey Porter or Jerome Bettis jersey. Proceeds tonight benefit the UPMC Sports Medicine Concussion Program. Like that Week 14 game versus the Bears, any memory that leads to the Steelers playing February football is one that is well worth reliving. Earlier this week, I had a chance to go virtual with James Ferrier and Ike Taylor to reminisce about the AFC Championship games that brought us to Super Bowls 43 and 45. Now, before we sit down with those two, let's go back to Sunday, January 18th, 2009, to only the second time the Steelers and Ravens met in the postseason, in a moment that cemented the legacy of a future first ballot Hall of Famer, Troy Polamalu.
Well, the biggest thing about it is, the whole town is rocking. When you come to Pittsburgh and it's a playoff game, and then it's an AFC championship playoff game, the whole town is electrified. The whole week build up to this game is one of enormous anticipation. Then you couple that with two trains, one track. You're talking about the Baltimore Ravens coming to town, and you're talking about two teams that played the most physical style of football and the most physical division in football in the AFC North. So the anticipation factor was absolutely humongous, and with the Steelers, the anticipation is always about winning and going to the Super Bowl. That's job one. The opening drive for the Steelers, of course, is huge because you want to come out and you want to just punch them in the face first.
The pass is caught, and two men collide. Heinz Ward, 10, 40, 35.
Well, the Steelers had to settle for a field goal, but when you saw guys like Heinz Ward, the great Heinz Ward, the tougher than woodpecker lips Heinz Ward out there catching the ball, running with it, and of course there was an overthrow to Heath and down on the sidelines there, but the fact of the matter is, you knew that the offense was clicking and that they were not going to be denied all game long.
And there's no doubt that I think the Baltimore Ravens will go for it on fourth down.
So 4th and 1, the whole crowd at Heinz Field is up, and everybody's screaming and yelling, and the Ravens are going for it on a 4th and 1. Who but the long-haired flying Hawaiian? That would be Troy Polamalu, comes over the top, stopping Flacco dead in his tracks.
What a great defensive stop that was, and the crowd went absolutely berserko. And that, of course, led to, in the second quarter, when they threw the ball to Santonio Holmes.
They're bringing everybody. Stepping away from it, Roethlisberger throws off balance, has Holmes. Holmes cuts back, middle pass Walker. Sidesteps another hit. Miller down there leading the charges. And Holmes has taken it in. Touchdown, Pittsburgh.
And he zigged and he zagged and he weaved his way down and then scored a touchdown. Tremendous turnaround, great defense to offense. So at the end of the second half is when the Baltimore Birdies start their comeback. And the whole comeback was kicked off, literally, by a great punt return by the Baltimore Ravens. They take it down, and then, of course, they get down to the one on a pass interference call. And then it's up to Willis McGahee to punch it over from the one. So the Baltimore Ravens are now within a score of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
We're in good shape. We're in good shape. Let's go to work. Let's go to work. We're in good shape. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
The third quarter is like the penultimate fight in a heavyweight championship bout. They're going back and forth. They're trading jabs, trading crosses, and defensively speaking, both teams are playing optimum level football. But then in the fourth quarter, the Ravens break through and they get a couple passes, they get a run, and they get a pass interference. And before you know it, Willis McGahee scores from a yard out.
Joe Flacco becomes a starter today. And you know why? Because defense stood up. That's who wins championships.
It's now 16-14 in the fourth quarter. Steelers holding a slim lead. The Ravens are pressing right, so you've got to make a stand. The crowd is absolutely berserko again. I can remember the volume and how loud it was.
3rd and 13. You talk about a big play, biggest one of the game right here.
So you got Joe Flacco throwing the ball, but as he drops back to throw, Debo breaks through. That'd be James Harrison breaks through and whacks him one, forcing the quick throw and undercutting the route of Derek Mason was the great Troy Polamalu.
It's intercepted. Troy Polamalu at the 40.
This is what Hall of Fame football is all about. Troy Polamalu steps in front, gets the ball, and then returns it up the sidelines for a touchdown. And by the way, that was the great Aaron Smith throwing a block. Yes, throwing a block for Troy Polamalu to win the game. Touchdown, Steelers win. Bye, Ravens.
Good job, Coach. Good job. Good luck, man.
Y'all a hell of a football team. Y'all bring the best out in us. I love these matchups, man.
Thank you. I love them too, Coach. Good luck down there, right?
Thank you, man.
Well, I think because it's so physical, and I think the anticipation, as I talked about earlier, it's one of those few games that lives up to that anticipation. The lead changes, the amount of hitting, all the things that came about as a result of this. And then you couple it with really the Hall of Famer Troy Polamalu putting his personal stamp on the end, as he's done in a number of the Ravens games, Steelers games. So that, by and large, to me, says that's what this game was all about.
The 2008 AFC Championship game at Heinz Field, the third meeting between the Steelers and the Ravens. What do you guys remember heading into that game?
I remember everybody talking about how can we beat the team 3 times in a row. I think that was the year we beat them 3 times. Is that right, Ag?
Yeah, that's right.
Both, yeah. And yeah, people just wouldn't believe that we could do it for a 3rd time, and I didn't want to hear all that noise, so I was definitely coming to play.
For me, it was more like Pod Dog say, kind of proving wrong, you know, just going against the odds. And I always felt like being a Pittsburgh Steeler, regardless on how many Lombardis up on that second floor on the south side, you always just felt like your back was against the wall, because that's what people really didn't want to see. They didn't want to see you succeed. They got tired of us talking in the off season, you know, what we got on the second floor on the south side, how many Super Bowl rings we got right now, how good our team is, how good of an organization. So, and we always had an understanding between us and the Baltimore Ravens mutually. Y'all hated us, we hated y'all. So it kind of made the game a little easier mentally, knowing they felt the same way about us.
It's always a physical matchup. That's what everybody always talks about, whether it's regular season or postseason. But for this one, do you almost have to mentally prepare yourself for what you know that game's going to be like, and knowing how much this one means?
Well, being a defensive player, these are the type of games that you love to be in. You know it's going to be physical. You know it's going to be hard hitting. and you know they're gonna bring everything they have. So, like Ike said, it is a little easier to, you know, get up for the Baltimore Ravens, especially in the championship game, and we were at home, so that was even a more comforting feeling for me.
I was going to say, do you guys remember anything about the crowd, the atmosphere, the weather, just anything about Heinz Field that day, that night?
I'll never forget the crowd. The crowd, that's the loudest and the most craziest I've ever heard that stadium from my whole time, my whole 10 years of playing that game right there. So
it was
probably my favorite game at Heinz Field by far.
It's so what I try to tell the players who've never played in the playoff game, especially at Heinz Field, is the regular season is cool. First you got the preseason. First you got training camp. It's a different level, different atmosphere. Then you got preseason. It's a different level, different atmosphere. Then you got a regular season. Then it's a different level, different atmosphere. Then you got the playoffs in Pittsburgh. If you got home field advantage, it's a different level, different atmosphere. And the level in the playoffs in Pittsburgh, and I had this conversation with Willie Colon because I went on his show, it's gothic. It's like once you step outside, because usually the game is going to be at nighttime for the playoff. Once you step outside, man, the air is real thick. And the clouds get real dark. And the only time you really see light is when you pull up to the stadium. So it was a gothic kind of atmosphere for me, especially going against a team like the Baltimore Ravens. So we're looking at the Joker versus Batman. That's how I looked at us. And the reason why I looked at us between us and the Baltimore Ravens was I felt like, man, we had the same kind of recipe when it came down to personality-wise, you know, as far as like the drafting, as far as like the physicality, as far as like the blueprint. You know, I feel like Pittsburgh Steelers always had that kind of blueprint to win Lombardies. The Baltimore Ravens, they took it, which they should. They took it and they drafted the same way. They got the physicality the same way. So it was mano a mano, who gonna hit who the hardest, the longest. So like Pot Dog said, man, just getting up for this game was good, but just the atmosphere at Heinz Field. I remember that Monday after the game when we won, we started watching tape and the tape was shaking. And it's like, dang, man, like the crowd really was going crazy during the game. But that's what you get when you go into Heinz Field, especially in that playoff atmosphere.
What about Troy's pick 6 in that game?
That's why he going to the Hall of Fame. Like doing big moments, doing when you needed a play, when you needed a lifeline, when you needed something spectacular to happen, you pick up the phone and you call Troy Polamalu. Like that's what you did. Like, TP, you know, we down bad right now. I need a play. Or TP, this the playoffs. We trying to seal a deal. I need to play. Or TP is 4th and 1. I need you to jump over the line and stop Joe Flacco over a sneak. I need you. And that's what Troy did. Troy always sealed the deal. You know, that was so special about Troy. And that was throughout his whole career. He was a seal the deal kind of guy. It's like being a pitcher and being a closing pitcher. If you watch baseball, man, you get a closing pitcher and you know the guy gonna seal the deal and he's gonna get paid. And that was TP. TP was our closing pitcher, regardless on what was going on, whether it was the special teams, the offensive side. You know, on the defensive side, TP was gonna close the deal.
That's when the stadium was shaking when he scored that touchdown.
Correct.
And that was the loudest moment in that stadium, was that particular play.
What is Troy like after something like that? Do you guys even remember?
Man, I'm like, Troy, give me a curse word or something, bro.
Yeah, he was
like, show me your enthusiasm or something, man. But TP,
he was happy, but if it would have been anybody else, like, it would have been a show.
I think Troy was happy, but we're more happy for him sealing the deal than Troy actually making the play. Like, come on, bro. It's cool to be humble, TP, but God dang, man, this our 3rd time playing him. as hard as it is beating the team or trying to beat a team 3 times in a row, so you just gonna walk off to the sideline? Man, I'm about to show off for you. But that was just TP though, man. But I think Pot Dog can agree with this. And for everybody who don't know what Pot Dog is James Ferrier on the other line. We just knew we had in Troy. That was just Troy's personality. Troy never wanted the credit. He just wanted to show everybody, man, this is really genuinely a brotherhood in the team game.
All right, guys, now we are going to take a quick look back at the 2010 AFC Championship.
All you non-believers disrespect us, talk crap about the defense like we ain't the 3rd best defense in the league.
Congratulations. See you in Pittsburgh.
Can't wait.
Back to you.
That game had a little bit of what we call wolf tickets in the business, where one team says things about the other team that end up inevitably on the bulletin board. And Bart Scott complied, and I'm sure Mike Tomlin was happy about it. The Steelers probably didn't need any extra motivation, but thanks to those remarks, I can't wait, come on. The Steelers said, well, bring it on.
Black 20. Black up.
The Steelers offense set the tone with the opening drive, keeping the ball for about 9 minutes. And, Heinz Ward caught the ball, tried to get in. He got to the 1-yard line, but unfortunately, the good news is they did score with Mendenhall.
Mendenhall scored twice last week, and I think he broke the plane. He's in, touchdown.
Finally pounding it in, but the bad news is you lose the best center in the game in Marquise Pouncey.
Black up.
He's going to bootleg it right. Now he's going to run. He's into the end zone for a Pittsburgh Steelers touchdown, and the place goes crazy.
The Steelers defense capped the scoring with a gem.
The ball is loose. They're chasing it. They pick it up at the 19. That's William Gay scooting to the end zone. And that is a Pittsburgh Steelers touchdown.
Ike Taylor got into the mustache of Mark Sanchez, and the ball ended up in Will Gay's hands. A scoop and score, and the Steelers defense kind of just said, hey, we'll take a 24-0 lead. The Steelers ran the ball well, they threw the ball well, it had a good mix, a good feel, continuity, 24 points, the score was 24-3. Looked like the game was over, but a little bit like the 2020 team, they can kind of play 2 different halves. Momentum shifts often in regular season games, but teams have time to do something about it if they lose. In the playoffs, there's no tomorrow. And when the momentum shifted toward the Jets, the Steelers were hard-pressed, especially when a former Steeler, Santonio Holmes, was on a receiving end of a Sanchez 45-yard bomb, and all of a sudden the Jets were feeling, hey, we can come back and beat these guys.
Sanchez looks left. He's got his man, and it's a touchdown. Hatchery has it for the Jets. The Jets have scored 18 unanswered.
We are 1 drive away from the Super Bowl, man. Be smart. Stay on your guy. Get y'all. We're going to take this home. Yes, sir. It's going to take us right here to take this home.
The Steelers are up 5 points. It's near the 2-minute warning. 3rd and 6 at the 40-yard line of the Jets. What to do? Do you throw the ball? Rex Ryan, their head coach, said no way they're going to throw the ball.
We got to be ready. Now, if he drops back at all, he's looking to run with it.
Guess what? Ben, as only Ben can do, escaped the trouble, found Antonio Brown with his only catch of the game, and the Steelers could kneel the game out and head to Dallas.
Once again, they go to the 4th receiver, Billy. Antonio Brown. Ben rolls out, finds Antonio Brown. And Rex Ryan knows that's it.
Well, one of the best games in Heinz Field history, of course, because of the importance of it. I mean, you win it, you go to the Super Bowl. And I think the players all realize that. And, as far as Steelers fans are concerned, any playoff game in Heinz Field, it's important.
Okay, guys, when I think of the 2010 AFC Championship, you have to think about Bart Scott and his whole can't wait. Was that bulletin board material for you guys going into that game, or did you kind of pay it no attention?
That's still one of my all-time favorite clips of like a player interview, for sure. That's probably my top 3. But it was definitely bulletin board material. We thought it was funny, but we definitely put it up on the bulletin board. And you know, for me being a former Jet player, it was easy for me to get up for that game, and you didn't have to tell me anything about that one to get me ready. So I was ready when they won the game. So he didn't have to do anything to motivate me, but it was a little bit helpful for the rest of the guys, and it was definitely locker room material.
I felt like we was going with that Supreme gas, but when he said that, I felt like he put a little nitro in us. You know, so when he did that, and I already knew I had Santonio Holmes. I knew Coach was gonna put me on tone. Like, Coach, if you don't put me on tone, something wrong. Like, we're gonna have some problems. So that was my motivation. I know Tone was gonna feel some kind of way going against his former team, who traded him to the New York Jets. A high Rex Ryan and what he had going on defense. So basically, it was going to be a defensive game. So when Bart Scott made that statement, I already felt we had that 9-3 Supreme in our gas tank. Now you just said what you said, man. Let me go ahead and get my mind right and put this nitro in it. So that's how I felt about that whole situation.
You mentioned Santonio playing his former team at Heinz Field. Was there any trash talking between you guys with Santonio?
Nah, it wasn't no trash talking. I wanted my trash talking to be on the field. Like, I wanted my trash talking to be my play. Like, my trash talking was showing my teammates, like, I got this. Y'all boys don't worry about that. I got this. Tone wound up having a few good plays, but for the most part, man, I won the war. He won a few battles. I won the war, and that's all what mattered to me. You know what I'm saying? By the end of the day, man, we did what we needed to do, got to what we wanted to get, didn't win what we wanted to win. But at the same time, man, when you want to just talk about battle versus battle, I felt like I held my own. So, and I felt like I had to. I felt like Tone was coming with it on his mind, and Tone already understood I was coming with it on my mind as well.
You mentioned it with the OA championship game. It always feels like it's cold, it's dark, but the Steelers Nation, the terrible towels. Is there anything you guys vividly remember from that game?
I think it snowed. And did it snow in that game? I think it snowed, which is always a plus when you're playing the Steelers. But, you know, the Jets are a cold weather team too, so it didn't really make a difference, you know, what the weather was going to be. And we didn't care either way. But definitely being at home and that stadium, it's always gray on that championship Sunday. It never seems like it's a sunny day, and that seems like it's helped us get through.
What play?
For me, it was
sorry, go ahead, Ike.
For me, it was the last laugh. You know, I know if Tone would have came off victorious, he would have felt like he had the last laugh. But for me, the fact that we came out victorious, I felt like I had the last laugh when you want to talk about an individual battle.
We talk so much these days about Tomlinisms. Was there anything from Coach Tomlin that you guys remember leading up to the game or during the game that sticks out in your mind?
Oh, whatever he's saying right now, he's probably said that the same thing 10 years ago. You know, coaches, they have a certain amount of isms that they all have and they all keep up with. So I'm sure Mike Tomlin was talking about nameless gray faces and standard as this man, and you know, all of the things that he usually says during the week. Like it doesn't matter what they do. What else, Ike?
It's a 5-star game because we in it.
5-star matchup.
Yeah, two dogs, one bone, all that good stuff. Like all that good stuff come into factor. And let me give a shout out to Coach T too, because Coach T, to go 8-8 down to your 4th string quarterback, and not have a losing season in 14 years, that says a lot about Coach T and his coaching staff. You got a lot of coaches who have a franchise or so-called franchise quarterback who can't go 7-9. And for Coach T to go down to his 4th-string quarterback last year and go 8-8 and still have an opportunity to make it to the playoffs by a game short or so, that's respect to Coach Tomlin. Now, since Ben come back, and everybody thought I was, you know, being a homer, which I probably was, but I'm looking at Pittsburgh going 8-8 last year. When I said Pittsburgh going 13-3 this year, they're like, how? I'm like, been good for 5. If they can go 8-8 last year, Ben come back. I know Ben good for 5 games plus the 8. So
easy,
then
man.
again, man, easy. But it starts off with Coach T. I don't think Coach T get enough recognition for his IQ. I don't think Coach T get enough recognition on going 14 years without having a losing season. You know, it's not flashy. Like, it ain't got to be flashy. But by the end of the day, as a head coach, you always want to put your team in playoff, let alone Super Bowl contention. And that's all Coach T been doing. So shout out to Coach T. I had to get that off my chest.
We're okay with that. We like that. Is there a play from that 2010 AFC Championship that sticks out to you guys?
That game, I remember it being kind of over when it started. I think we jumped out to a big lead. I remember jumping out to a big lead, and I think it was pretty much done after that. And I do remember a little slight comeback from them, but you know, the most of that game, I felt like we dominated, especially in the first half.
I got that sack. Caused fumble on Sanchez. Will Gay picked it up, scored a touchdown. And you know, I'm horrible at blitzing. As much as I like tackling, I'm horrible at blitzing. My blitz game was horrible. But on that day, I stepped. See, $5 about to say on that day, I stepped my game up. So I wound up getting a sack, caused fumble. Will Gay picked that thing up, took it to the house. So that was one I can't remember.
Man, I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Of all of my memories playing at home, my favorite one has to be winning the AFC Championship game in 2009 against the Baltimore Ravens.
Miller down there leading the charges. And Holmes has taken it in. Touchdown, Pittsburgh.
The atmosphere was electric, the stadium was rocking, literally, and the towels were waving. It's a feeling and memory that I'll never forget.
And I have to say that my memory is kind of like a personal moment, man. It was my first playoff game. We're in the tunnel, they're calling out the offense, and you know, normally I'm just man, I run out, I'm pumped up, I'm ready to go, man, but like, the crowd was pumping, it was rocking, you could kind of feel it in your chest, man. It was one of those moments, man, I just kind of stood there and just kind of savored the moment, all the terrible towels flow, man. I was like, man, this is what it's all about, man. It was right there in Heinz Field, man. That's my my moment right there at Heinz Field, first playoff game.
Mine would be a play that you all know, you all remember. 2008 season, playoffs, AFC Championship game against the Baltimore Ravens.
He throws the pass and it's intercepted. Troy Polamalu at the 40.
Troy Polamalu picks off Joe Flacco, returns it to the house for a game-sealing touchdown. The moment that happened, the stadium went crazy. That probably was the loudest I've ever heard the fans in Heinz Field.
And this place is on fire.
And because of that, that is my greatest moment that sealed the game against our arch rival. Because of the fans, because of the stadium, the Steelers are the best professional sports organization in all the land. Shout out to all the fans. Shout out to Steeler Nation. Here we go.
Now, that sack fumble that Ike was talking about was his only postseason sack and forced fumble of his 12-year career here in Pittsburgh. Don't forget, you still have time to help a great cause by donating to the UPMC Sports Medicine Concussion Program or bid on any of the items in our online auction, including signed memorabilia and game-worn jerseys. Just click on the Bid Now link on Steelers.com. Our final memory tonight will be looking back at had the Steelers extending the gift giving into the nighttime on Christmas Day of 2016.
First off, I want to just say that I don't like to mix the holidays with the Steelers because it's too much of a gamble for my emotional health, so I don't usually like to do that. But it was a great morning. We woke up, the kids opened their presents, and it's Christmas. It's all the joy, all the good spirits, and all that goes away as soon as the Steelers and the Ravens take the field. My blood pressure goes up. I'm grinding my teeth so hard I could chip a molar. And it's about 4 seconds in, 4 seconds into the game. That's kind of how I feel. This was for the North. I mean, this game was huge. The idea that the Steelers could win the North by beating the Ravens and vanquishing them from the playoffs, there's a lot at stake, obviously.
Fires down the middle. It's caught for a touchdown. The X-Man Xavier Grimble, and the Steelers draw first blood.
Flacco in trouble, and he's brought down. Bud Dupree
boots it, and that kick is up 37 yards for Tucker, and we've got a one-point ball game.
7-6. I mean, a classic Steelers-Ravens score. Every single point hurt. It even hurt to say the score. Daddy, what's the score? It's 7-6. I don't like it when the games are that close, but with Steelers-Ravens, they always are.
Looks like it's intercepted by Zachary Orr.
And it's caught in the end zone by Steve Smith Sr. The kick by Tucker is up and good. Extends the Baltimore lead to double digits.
Now I'm lost. I haven't seen my family in an hour, at least. All they have heard of me is screams of joy or agony, mostly agony. It's like the Grinch that stole Christmas, except he stole your presents after you opened them.
And Bell gets the call. And he stiff arms a man, runs to the left, gets to the 5, gets to the goal line. Le'Veon Bell, touchdown.
Roethlisberger on the move, so good in these scramble situations. Dumps it to Bell, and Le'Veon Bell takes it in for the touchdown.
And the Steelers leapfrog the visiting Baltimore Ravens.
Now the whole family is around me again. I'm myself, other than my clammy palms and my chiclet teeth. I'm in a good mood. I'm in good spirits. We got this. We're actually going to win the North. I feel great.
They will run. Juszczyk inside, has the first down, still going. Kyle Juszczyk stays on his feet and scores!
Wow, what a run.
Lost again. I've now moved to a different chair because I'm pretty much convinced that my concentration and position in the room is going to determine the outcome of this game.
Hey, we got a minute 18 left. Plenty of time for Ben and company. The way this game's been going, piece of cake.
Ho, ho, ho. Now I have a machine gun. Big Ben, final possession. I know what he's going to do. He's going to make some dynamic plays. We're going to march down the field. We're going to score. We're going to send them crying back to Baltimore.
Second and goal at the 4.
So you can win it in regulation.
Ben in the shotgun, Steelers trailing by 3. Second and goal at the 4. He's back. He pumps. Throws it over the middle. The pass is caught. He got to the goal line. Touchdown! Touchdown, Pittsburgh! 9 seconds left, and Antonio Brown wills himself across the chalk.
Here comes AB, here comes Mosley, here comes Weddle, here comes the whole crew, and somehow AB reaches out over the whole pile, extends it, and you know he's crossed the plane, and you know that's the score that's going to put the Steelers on top for good.
And the Pittsburgh Steelers have won the AFC North title.
The fact that it ended like that, it was immaculate. The bottom line is we win the game, win the North Division, send Baltimore to Cincinnati for no reason because they're not going to the playoffs, it's a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
My favorite moment of my Heinz Field tenure would have to be Jerome's final game in Heinz Field against the Detroit Lions in 2005. The emotions, what was on the line. It was ironic, we were playing Detroit and we were trying to get to Detroit at the same time. And to see the bus roll for 3 touchdowns in that final game and us able to send him off in the fashion of everything he means to us and what he's meant to the city of Pittsburgh was truly a special moment. Happy 20th, Heinz, and go Steelers.
I vividly remember one of the greatest moments I ever had was the AFC Championship game against the New York Jets in Heinz Field. It was cold, one of the coldest games I've ever played in Pittsburgh, and I'll never forget the feeling of going up on the Jets and holding them off on a trip to the Super Bowl in Dallas, Texas. You want to talk about one of the greatest moments. I remember watching guys just do the Jets, like taking off sign, and we were just having a ball. It was a blast. Guys were saying they can't wait. Enjoy every single moment, man. Everybody stay safe, and let's go get number 7.
Happy 20th anniversary, Heinz Field. What can I say? You made my dreams come true. As a player, coming out of that tunnel, seeing Steeler Nation, waving those terrible towers, the intensity, the passion gives me goosebumps. 2008, 2009, we're coming off a bye week, going into the playoffs. We got the San Diego Chargers. And there was a lot of talk going into that game. If we didn't keep Big Ben upright, if we didn't run the ball, if we didn't get it done up front as an offensive line, we were going to lose that game. It was going to be all our fault. Well, we changed that narrative. We rushed for 165 yards. The defense was outstanding. Big Ben played his tail off. We moved on to the AFC Championship, beat Baltimore, and you know the rest. We brought home number 6. Here we go. Thank you, Heinz Field. Happy anniversary.
Well, that puts a bow on our Alumni Weekend celebration of 20 seasons here at Heinz Field. I want to thank all of our alumni that were able to join us virtually, and I want to give a special thanks to Cookie Tillman Carter, Mary Kelly, and Ron Kramer. These 3 employees have worked every Steelers game since Heinz Field opened, so congratulations and thank you. And don't forget, you still have until next Friday, December 11th, to bid on all of our great auction items and help a great cause in the UPMC Sports Medicine Concussion Program. Thanks for joining us tonight, and go Steelers.